This could ruin Need for Speed Unbound. How we all doing? Jack here, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a fantastic day as always. I don't want to start off this video on a negative about Need for Speed Unbound. I'm really looking forward to Need for Speed Unbound. Everything they've been showing so far has been fantastic. I mean, I do want to list some positives here before we get into the negative main topic of this video. But first, before we begin, if you like the video, be sure to subscribe. I've got a lot of Need for Speed Unbound content coming up along the way. So be sure to subscribe for that and like the video as well. Helps me in the algorithm. Anyway, so again, I want to start with some positives. I'm super excited for Need for Speed Unbound. The art style looks absolutely fantastic. It looks super unique, and it doesn't look like anything else we've seen before in the arcade racing game space, at least in a hot minute. It also seems like they got the illegal street racing vibe down to a T. The map also looks really good. The new betting features look really fun and in depth. It also looks like you'll be able to 1v1 other racers as well, and being able to like lose money and risk it all in these high pot street races. That shit's really cool. And I also admire how each racer looks to be like a unique character within the world. You can see that during the races with their little like mugshots, I guess you could say, on the side, and also when you're trying to bet racers at the meetups. It looks like each character is gonna be unique and have their own unique car, which is really cool. I really appreciate that from Criterion. And also, it looks like with Need for Speed Unbound, they're doing a much better job with marketing, at least EA is, compared to what they did with Need for Speed Heat, where they released 2 trailers, and that was really it. Sounds like there's fucking aliens invading. What the fuck was that? And we do need to address the elephant in the room, the big, I guess you could say, negative thing about multiplayer coming to Need for Speed Unbound. It looks like PvP is back, which is fantastic, and it also looks like you're gonna be able to just kind of cruise around the world as well. The way they described it in the Under the Hood article, which I'm also gonna be linking in the description down below, kind of reads that you'll be able to team up with crews of up to 3 other drivers and head into the meetups and win PvP races against other crews of 4 people. Now, if 4 people sounds extremely low for a crew in a modern day racing game, you're not wrong. I don't know how many Forza allows you to have. I believe it's up to 8 people in a crew to queue up for PvP, and you can have even more in just a lobby. Need for Speed Heat, I've actually been doing a lot of car meetups recently on Need for Speed Heat, and a few on stream. Down below in the description on the live stream channel, Craptastic Jack Live. But we did some the other week, and we had 8 people, and 8 people still feels a little limiting. We had to keep turning people away who wanted to join and hang out. But that's more so due to limitations of that game, but even still, that feels limiting, 8 people. So if 8 people is feeling really limiting when it comes to creating car meets and just like chill cruises and everything like that, 4 people is even more limiting. But yeah, think of it as the Crew 1's PvP. Basically, you were able to team up into groups of 4 total drivers, and you're able to drive freely around the world. But then if you wanted to do PvP with that crew, you could go in and go to the PvP garages scattered around the map and start PvP with your crew. But even in the Crew 1, which came out nearly 10 years ago at this point, I feel incredibly old saying that, even in the Crew 1, you could have private PvP lobbies with up to 8 people, which is more than what we'll be able to do in Need for Speed Unbound. When you're ready, go online and race up to 15 other players in parties of up to 4 friends. This is not this is not a good idea. This, in my opinion, could very much ruin long-term Need for Speed Unbound multiplayer if it's not fixed after launch. Especially for the community, the part of the community that isn't necessarily big into racing. Granted, there's a part of the community that mainly just builds cars and cruises and starts meetups, you know, and just hangs out. For people who want to do that, only being able to do it in up to groups of 4 people is incredibly limiting. Sure, the PvP may be great and all, but at the same time, at the end of the day, a lot of the times people aren't necessarily racing for PvP. Granted, that is a large amount of people. A lot of people are just going around cruising and posting up, basically. showing off their rides and cruising. I'm actually planning on doing a separate video kind of going more into depth of what I think Need for Speed should do in terms of social aspects, and why I think that if Need for Speed were to really kind of go into and lean more into social aspects of the game, they could really increase the replayability of their games. Having done a meetup the other day on stream, it was really immersive going into creating car meets and then having those meets busted up by the cops and having to go to a new meet, doing some races, meeting up at a different location. It was really immersive, and it kind of slowed the game down a little bit from the usual gameplay loop of single player, but I enjoyed it more. It felt a lot more immersive, and that's something that hopefully we'll be able to have in Need for Speed Unbound, but from the limit of having only 4 friends in a lobby or 4 friends in a crew, you're not gonna be able to have those moments nearly to the extent that you were able to in Need for Speed Heat or even Need for Speed Payback. Again, this is one L out of like a ton of W's when it comes to Need for Speed Unbound. Need for Speed Unbound is looking like a great game, and this is an L that they can turn into a W post-launch, and I'm seriously hoping that's what they end up doing. Especially if a lot of people kind of like communicate to Ghost, not them. As long as people kind of communicate to Criterion and EA that like they would like to see more friends being able to crew up, I feel like that's something they could change post launch. What do you guys think about this? I'm definitely not a fan of this, and I do feel like over time it could really ruin the multiplayer aspect of Need for Speed Unbound. But that's it for me tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I will see you all in my next video. Have a good night, everyone.